Hey guys, jig number one. This is something I built, and this is a grinding jig, and all it is a piece of angle aluminum that I bored 2 holes in, put 2 bolts in the bottom and 2 wing nuts through, and that allows me to set the angle of the jig, or the angle of the grind. So the knife's going to clamp in here upside down, and it's going to be held at an angle to the belt that I can adjust just by adjusting these 2 wing nuts. The way it works, and the reason the aluminum, it helps keep things cool. This is pretty heavy gauge aluminum, but I've noticed how it keeps the blade from overheating. So, works great. You can use it without that piece. You can just simply bolt, well not bolt, but clamp on your blade and run it into the machine. So it basically just slides by and holds a consistent angle the entire time you are motioning over the base plate. You know, you're getting the same angle. It's repeatable. There's no wobble, there's no variance, and it gives you great control. So that's jig 1, and I use that in combination with jig 2, which is basically a stop. So let me set that up for you, and then I'll explain that next. Okay guys, this is a Bernicky clamp, and what it is a parallel clamp. And on one side, you'll see these 2 hardened steel plates, and those basically are there to help against wear, basically. So if the belt accidentally touches those plates, they're hardened. They're not going to just instantly dissipate, and now you got an uneven jig. So the way it works is you take your blade and you insert it upside down. You figure where you want your grind line to end, and I've got to actually reverse this a little bit. It goes like this. And you tighten down the jig, and you want to be nice and even about it. And I'm going to move it up to the top because it's a small blade, and you can have a slight angle if you so wish, or you can have it nice and square like that. So how's it work? Well, it goes into your jig just like this. And 2 things happen. Okay, you've got a place to index. So if I say, okay, I'm going to grind to the point of my finger groove right here, and I'm nice and square on this side, basically I clamp this rig in. And now what happens is you have a vertical section, of about 12 inches of platen. And you've got your angle dialed, what you want for your offset on the bottom. And this acts as a stop, so you're actually going to run this into the platen right here, and the belt's going to be slightly back from it. So it's a positive stop, so it's repeatable. You can do it 100 times, it's always going to be the same. The only thing that's changing is the grind is going, it's wearing away, and you're getting closer to the center line. So, all right, so now we've got that side done. Same thing, I'm going to take this off. Now when I flip it around, I know that I'm nice and square, and boom, I'm flush right here. And so, get that set up right there. And so now, when I do the same process on the other side of the platen, which is now going to be on the left, it's the same thing. It's all repeatable results. So the beauty of it is your grind lines on both sides are always going to line up. There's not going to be any variance. So, freehand grinding, that's the trick basically of freehand grinding. It's getting things to the point where those grind lines are equal and they're uniform the entire length of the blade. So these 2 jigs will help. So yeah, next step is really to just get that paper off of that really stuck on good. But get that off, clean the surfaces up so that they're nice and flat, and then we're ready to do the grind process. So we're going to grind the blade next. Okay guys, something that is another part of the process. We need to get a line scribe so we know where the center line is of our blade. So I'm just going to mark this with magic marker. You can use it black, blue, whatever you want. Just like that. You find a drill bit that is the same diameter as your knife blade. And basically the process is, and probably my hand's in the way, but I'm going to drag this all the way along the edge of the knife, and that's going to leave me a center line mark. So very simple. And there you go. I don't know if you can see it. I'll kind of rotate it, but that is dead center. So make sure you get a really good mark so you can see it. Okay, that's all set. The other thing you can do is when you maintain count. So when I set this up in the jig, and now you can really see how the jig works. Again, I've got to keep it square. I want to keep that point right there. I'm going to clamp this one. Move over here a little bit. Make sure that's nice and flush. It is. Clamp that one. And we're ready to roll. So I like to keep a count of my passes. So however many times I'm going to run this way in the jig, I'm going to basically say it's 15 times. Well, when I go to the other side, I'm going to do the same pressure 15 times. And that pretty much keeps things centered by itself, but that little mark right there is my guide. I know not to go beyond it. So alright, so I've got water set up and I'm ready to roll here. I'm just going to turn it on, and this is 120 grit. We'll do a couple of passes. And again, here's that hardened steel going in next to the platen, as you can see. And if you notice, the last little bit I'm turning the jig away, and that's just to keep a consistent line. If you don't do that, then your grind line is going to change on you. There's one. There's two. There's three. Not even hot. There's four. And you can start to see the grind coming. 5, 6, 7, 8. You see how that grind's coming. Now see, I've got to watch how much time I'm spending in this spot because it's growing. So I'm going to come in and really go faster. And that steel is actually still quite cool. Okay, you can see the grind progressing. It's evening out now. I've got a little bit right here where I can spend more time as I'm grinding. Blade is not even warm yet. This aluminum really does suck up a lot of the heat. Alright, 5 more. Okay, it's looking pretty consistent, looking pretty good. I'm starting to get that nice rounded shape here that I want. Yeah, and you can see that, I guess you could probably see, we're not even close to our center line yet. So, I guess we're going to go 5 more, and then we'll switch sides. All right, I'm going to switch sides, and I think I'm just going to grind for a while, and then I'll be back when we get close. Alrighty guys, there we are. You can see how consistent the grind is. So next step is to basically set this thing up so we can drill the holes for in the tang for the scales that we're going to put on it. We're dead center, and we're almost to the point of sharp. So I'm not going to sharpen it. I've learned my lesson not to make it a razor until you're done with the scales. So I'll tape this up with some green tape, so I'm nice and safe while I'm doing the scale work. But that's next. So, all right, this is end of part 1. Part 2 is when we're going to actually, finish and complete the knife. But for today, that's not bad. I started, a couple hours ago, but there's times, where I'm doing retakes or I'm setting up cameras and breaking down cameras and moving from place to place. So I would guess half an hour, maybe 45 minutes to get to this point. So, all right, that ends part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. That'll be coming up in a day or so.